Go through the entire round in your head, trying to figure out what you would do. And as you get better, that'll prep you for better and better debaters. And it's the best way to make sure that you come up with as many different arguments and as many different defenses as possible. And also the best way to make sure that you organize your case in a way that makes sense and in a way that is strategically fruitful. What is the fourth principle? The fourth principle is take without destroying. Take without destroying. Now, some of you may know, back in ancient battles, it was very popular to destroy the earth. You read about that in history class. In some instances, you read about that in the Bible. When one country took over another, or when one group won a war, they would burn all the houses to the ground. They would kill all the people. They would salt the earth, make sure that none of it would be usable for decades. Sun Tzu was revolutionary in that he said that was the worst thing you could possibly do for your cause. He wrote, it's better to take than it is to destroy. He said that when you capture a village, or when you capture a resource, it's better to turn those people over to your side. Don't burn the crops. Use them to feed your army. Don't kill the citizens. Use them and teach them what your cause is, and use them to develop more strong, personal, better relations for your cause. He was one of the first diplomats to exist in war. This revolutionary idea applies to debate as well. Instead of destroying something your opponent can say, it's always better to turn it. I see this a lot, especially in values clashes. And I don't say that to mean values debate. I mean that specifically when it responds to a goal or a proposition. My best response to this is my best example of this is the one case I saw had a value of justice. And it was talking about how we are treating people in poorly developed countries unjustly, completely unfairly, that we are dumping toxic waste on them, and that needs to change. The negative team came up and they said, well, we really shouldn't value justice, because justice is vague. And that had no impact on the round, and no impact on why we shouldn't value justice. They didn't really explain it. And worse, when they went on to talk about why we shouldn't change this policy, they kept saying, they didn't really respond. They said, sure, it's unjust, but justice, eh. In my view, what they were trying to do was burn that value. Whereas what they should have done was try to flip it. Say, we agree that justice is good, but because we agree that justice is good, you should vote for our side, because we are more just. Another example. If you bring up an example in a debate round, or an application in a debate round, say that competition is what leads to better economics. And you know that the example that they bring up isn't really competition at all. Do you say, this shows that their example is completely wrong and that nothing they say should be believed and they have no support for their case? Or do you say, instead, what really leads to good economics is our policy. Our policy and our plan on our side is what really accomplished these good economics in the first place, and turn their example. Second one takes less time. It's better for judges, and it just sounds more persuasive. Whenever you can turn something, use it as a reason to vote for you instead of completely destroying it, that's a good strategy, something that you should keep in mind, and something you should aim for when you're writing briefs or figuring out responses to cases that you're going against. Okay, last principle is prepare. This one's pretty obvious, but it's something that a lot of debaters completely forget about. Prepare. I write so slowly. Debate did nothing to help me with this. Preparation is absolutely key. Sun Tzu wrote, the one who wins will be the one who knows thy enemy and who knows thyself. He also wrote, and the quote that I love the most by him, it's one of the many quotes I have written on my wall, because I'm one of those people that likes to write on my walls. It's, to not prepare is the greatest of all crimes. He also wrote that the only way that you can keep yourself from losing is to make no mistakes whatsoever. A lot of debaters will tell me that they should have won rounds. I should have won finals because I won on the flow. Or I should have won round 6 because the judge just didn't realize that I had completely won the most important argument. Or the judge's ballot was wacky. They voted on an issue that wasn't even that important. Back in my first 2 years of debate, I used to say this all the time. Somehow I was brilliant, and judges just had no clue. My genius was unbeknownst to them because they were too stupid to grasp it. And as stupid as that sounds when you say it like that, a lot of debaters still act this way. They speak too fast. They use terms in debate world like critique and counterplan and topicality and just don't explain it. They go 400 miles an hour in their speaking, and they don't really care about what the judge hears. My favorite judge always used to say, it's not about what you say, it's about what the judge hears. So in my last 3 years of debate, I made it my personal vendetta. I didn't always accomplish this, but it was my goal in the round. To say, whenever I lost a round, that it was my fault anyway. It's my fault if the judge had an excuse to vote for the other team. It's my fault if they didn't understand that my arguments were important. It's my fault if I didn't tell them why they should vote for me. It's my fault if they had any reason whatsoever in their universe or in mine, for any reason at all, to vote for somebody else. The only way that you can guarantee a win in debate is by being the best speaker that they've ever heard and winning every argument without a doubt that's on the flow at all. And making sure the judge understands that, knows that, and writes it down. Now, that's a pretty impossible goal, but for the best debaters, it becomes a reality. That is what you're striving towards. And the only way you can do that is by preparing. Again, go over every argument in your mind. Argue against your own case. If you can't think of an argument against a popular proposition, you're doing it wrong. Ask people. Google it. Put a lot of effort into your briefs. Do speech drills alone. Time yourself. Make sure that you can think of introductions and closers. Debate is a never-ending game. There's always something more you can be doing. You can be coming up with another disadvantage. You could be running through a case again. You could be asking your coaches and asking your parents what they hear when they watch videos or practice rounds of you debating. You can write what I did, personally. I wrote out not only the outline for all of my negative cases against every AF case in team policy, I also wrote introductions, closers, and cross-ex questions for all those cases. So when I came up against those cases, it would sound like I already had a case written. Debate never ends, and the people who win are going to be the people who want it more, who prepare to win, who stretch out their victories, who think about the strategic side of debate, and who truly prepare for the victory at the end. So we've got fake it till you make it. Always have confidence in your own argument so the judge will have confidence in you too. Choose your battles. Only argue things that will win you the round and that actually matter. Strategic placement of arguments. Don't think that you have to run all your best arguments at once. Instead, think about the round as a progression. Think about how you sound and consider how the round will go from the 1 AC all the way until the second affirmative rebuttal. Take without destroying. If you can turn arguments, do. And if you can show the judge why an argument means that you should win, always, always impact it to that level. And finally, prepare like crazy, as much as you can, so that you will go into the debate rounds knowing that you have all the preparation necessary to ensure victory for your side. And read The Art of War.